Are you ready? I'm ready.
Vicky,
Yeah.
in 3, 2, 1, you're ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the technical delay. Karibuni sana for our first episode for Sash and Style. Today we're going to discuss about pageantry and modeling fashion. I have two guests I'd like to introduce. Oh, they should introduce themselves. Where do I start? From my right?
All right. Hello, my name is Susan Kirui. I was Miss Earth Kenya 2019, a commercial model, a humanitarian, as well as a modeling tutor, very recent in international schools, and also the founder of the SK Show.
Oh, thanks. Madam?
Hello everyone, my name is Cindy Isendi. I was the Beauty of Africa International Pageant winner in 2019 and Miss International Kenya 2022. Professionally, I'm an accountant. I'm a professional accountant. I work in a non-governmental organization that supports media.
Oh, great. Some people would ask what pageantry is and what's the difference between pageantry and modeling. So, pageantry is about competition, it's about your self-leadership. So about 60% is judged off stage, and then modeling is just selling a brand, it's just like a model of a phone. So most of the time, you don't need to be judged when you're doing the runway model. But anyway, today we have the real people to talk about this. Miss Earth.
Yes.
How did it start? Where did it start?
So it was, first of all, Miss Earth Kenya was the first pageant that I ever competed, and I competed while in 2017. So of course there's a series of both whole worldwide national competition that was serving between Nairobi, Mombasa and Kisumu contestants, and we had a total of, let's say, around maybe 200 contestants being shortlisted as time went by. So I remember I was a Nairobi contestant, very green. At that time I was in Zitech University pursuing business finance, and one of my friends actually talked me into it because she saw me, I had a passion in modeling, and why not venture into the world of pageantry.
So it's your friend who introduced you.
It's
You
my
didn't know
friend.
about pageantry.
It's my friend who told me about the audition of Miss Earth.
Wow.
So I had
Cindy,
to, yeah.
you?
I can't particularly remember how I realized the auditions of Miss Earth, but as well it was my first pageant. I think I passed across it in Facebook or something, and I thought that was something that I can be more interested to know.
Yeah, so you said your friend told you,
Yeah.
let's just go and try. Was it that easy? Did you just go on catwalk and won the events? How was it?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we were just having a normal class sessions in school, and she came across the ad for Miss Earth Kenya. So she was like, can you just try this out? And I was like, so what are the requirements? So I had to Google most of the part, and when the day came for going for auditions, I saw a lot of beautiful girls. Of course, I was very much intimidated, and because I didn't know, I was very, very green in it. So I had to ask, of course, with the likes of the girls who've been in beauty pages before, what do I need to do and how does it take for me to be the next Miss Earth, you know?
You talked about auditions.
Yeah.
You know? That word comes all the time.
Yeah.
What's auditions? Probably some people are thinking, what's she talking about?
Okay, basically audition is going to get listed in doing a pageant or a show. So it's just a number of people that feel like they meet the requirements of a certain pageant, which is different from pageant to pageants. So it's basically going to get listed to get a space to continue with the show.
Yeah, so Susie said she first won Miss Earth.
Yeah.
What was your first win?
My first win was my second pageant, particularly, which was Beauty of Africa International Pageant. It was, as well as she has said, we had contestants from all over the country in the 47 different countries. So we were doing our pageant in Kakamega. So in fact, that one, it's as well as how Susie has said, it was a friend who told me, so Kakamega is my hometown. I went home, and then someone was like, have you had a pageant, Miss Beauty of Africa International Pageant, which is being held here? And I was like, oh, so interested in it because I love pageants that are promoting my home, that are promoting my culture. So I was very, very happy that a national pageant is being held in Kakamega, which mostly it's held maybe in the cities Nairobi or Mombasa or Kisumu. So that was very interesting for me. And thereafter I went to learn more about it and joined it. So that was my first win.
Oh, good. Susie, she was in Shags and she wrote about it. I think that was 2016, 17?
For Beauty of Africa was 2019.
2019.
Yes.
So, it's what they call the boot camp.
Yes.
Most of the time we hear boot camp when we are discussing military and stuff. What is this thing about pageantry and boot camp?
Boot camp is, let's say, it's a period where beauty queens and also models are taken, either shortlisted, where judges are there to watch you. Beauty pageants is about how, it's not about, of course, walking during the runway. It's all rounded. It's how you walk the talk, how good you are in question and answer, and how you present yourself. It's all about your image and your personality development. So that's what judges judge you in a boot camp. So it's a period where it can run from a week, let's say, to a period of even 3 months.
You guys have been in one boot camp.
Yeah, we've been in one boot camp.
How was that boot camp?
Wow. So I would say it was very, very tough, but very transforming.
Yeah.
I think it opens your eyes to get to understand everything about pageantry. In fact, for me and you, because it was our first time to be in a pageant. So it's a lot to learn, I think, because it's starting from your work, your personality, your etiquette, your intelligence. So it's just an all-rounded thing. A lot to learn, but just a beautiful experience.
I remember I was organizing that event. And usually during boot camp, I rarely, my presence is rare. So that night, one of the nights, I remember people calling me and stuff like that. I think you guys were in a camp.
Yes.
And it rained.
Yeah,
what was the experience?
It was
Now I remember.
It was overwhelming. Being a first boot camp for both of us and having see our beddings being rained on. And it was I think it was in Paradise Lost.
Yeah, it was in Paradise.
So that time we were like around 40 contestants all across Kenya.
Yeah.
And that time we had a series of preliminary competitions going through, so because that was a period of time transitioning from that to the finals.
Yeah.
So that time when everything was being rained, we were so confused. Some were crying, some didn't know what to do. But of course we hacked it. We hacked it. We did the activities that we wanted to do, and the following day everyone went home.
I think everyone out there never understands the world behind that beauty, that smile on stage. So again, like in pageantry, 60% is judged off stage. So most of the time you find the things that guys don't know, like that year I think the boot camp was at Paradise Lost.
Yes.
It's a campsite. So we wanted the girls to actually experience, and one reason why we say 60% is before, because you're being trained in leadership. So one of the things you need to persevere. We didn't plan for them to sleep in wet beddings, but that night it just rained and rained and rained. So some of those things, then you are judged. So if you're not able to handle a situation like that, then you're not able to become a queen. A queen must be able to have, be a person who can be in any kind of situation and be able to control. Then if you're a queen and you're not able to, people are going through stuff, then you're the first one who's running away, then there's no leadership. So anyone who's out there and wants to become a beauty queen, there's a lot that happens. It's not just the catwalk. Most of the time, we just see the girls looking nice, the crown, the glamour. That night is only 20% that's done. 80% already done before. So a lot of pageants have come in Kenya, and there's so many. I'm privileged to have both of you who've participated in both international. I think Cindy, you've been in 2, I don't know how many you've been in. So probably we start with Cindy. Your experience in the first international pageant, how was it? Where was it?
So my first international pageant was Beauty of Africa International Pageant, and it was in Nigeria. So we were in a city called Calabar, the nicest city in Nigeria. So yeah, it was very...
Abuja, I thought.
No, ours was in Calabar. Yeah, so it was really, really great. My first time to be in West Africa. So to start with, the experience was very exciting for me. I love learning new cultures. And in Lagos, when I arrived there, it's very different from Nairobi. Ooh, it was a bit hectic because the rush of Lagos. And I was asking myself, am I going to manage or something like that? But then going to Calabar, it was the smoothest and nicest place that you could be there.
I've sent, before you went, I've sent about 6 other contestants to Nigeria. And what has happened, most of the time when parents or relatives here, you're going for pageant Nigeria, there's a lot of tension. Hey, she's going alone. Because most of the time, as a pageant owner, you're not required to go for the boot camp, because boot camp might take 2-3 weeks. So if you are busy doing your stuff, most of the time you go 2-3 before the event. How did your parents take it? My daughter is going to Nigeria first, and they're going alone without the pageant owner. Yeah,
I think my parents are very supportive, and even in this pageantry journey, they've been like really supportive. So they were praying for me and being supportive. And then later on, it's when I realized they were a bit scared. My dad said, kama ameweza, kama ameenda Nigeria karudi, huyu anaweza kila kitu. So I realized that they were a bit scared. I think because Nigeria is a very big and diverse country, and it's a bit different from Kenya, of course. So that a bit of fear is there, but for me, they were supportive to start with.
You went to Philippines, Manila?
Yes, I went to Manila. Manila was beautiful. Manila is an island country, so it's very hot and humid. So I remember when I went there, I was people. I don't know if it's in the Asian countries, people are starstruck with beauty queens, and there it's regarded very highly. And let's say with black beauties, I remember I was going to a mall one day shopping during our competitions, and one of the kids stopped and was just touching my skin to see if it's real. But anyway, once I got in there, I remember we were competing with around 85 countries all across the world, and it was, let's say, it was a life-changing moment, because once you're regarded outside there, you're not known as Susie, you're not known as Cindy, you're known as Kenya, and there's a search written Kenya. So you have to portray the image of your country very well, in very good standards, and that's what, even as you said earlier, it's all about being all-rounded. So once you get down into Manila, or even if it's Nigeria, they start judging you from the time you jetted in the country. So it was a lot of mixed reactions, bittersweet moments, of course, lots of wins, lots of losses, because I think we were there for around 1 month in Manila. So we did a lot of domestic flights, going to do a lot of tree planting sessions, because Miss Earth is regarded like a green project, an environmental green pageant.
Philippines, in the last 10-15 years, have been known as a first leading country in terms of pageantry. If you go to any pageant, Miss World, Miss International and stuff, Filipinos are following their people and stuff.
Yes.
And I remember when we went for the pageant, some of your dresses were done by Filipinos.
Yes.
What was it? Is it that Kenyans couldn't do your dress, or is it hard to get that collaboration with Kenyans, or you just like the Filipinos?
So one thing, since we were approaching from the time, the period was very short in terms of preparation, or preparing myself to leave the country. So one of my trainers was training me in terms of my catwalk, my aura and everything. She was Filipino, based in Kenya, and she's called Miss Bernadette. So she had the idea of her friends in the Philippines to dress me every day. And since I had a very short span of, let's say, 2 weeks, that was one of the challenges that we get as beauty queens, trying to source for designers, which gets a bit hefty financially. And that's why she came with a plan. She was like, I have all my designers in Manila, Philippines. I was going to dress you from your national costume to your everyday look to your makeup. And I was like, this is amazing. I can't wait to go there. So I had to leave 1 week before the actual competition for, of course, fittings, normal fittings, and, of course, to identify myself with them. So that's what they regard beauty pageants really high.
You've had a lot of problems trying to dress beauty queens going out.
Yeah.
I've seen of late countries like Thailand where you have a beauty queen with almost 10, 15, 60, 70
Yes.
suitcase. Then you
Yeah.
have a Kenyan contestant who just have a suitcase or two. Is it that our designers in Kenya are not ready to work with our models? Is it that we are not giving them enough publicity, so we don't have that interaction? You do have a problem like what Susie had. For example, where did you get your dresses for the event?
Yes, it is definitely a bit hard to collaborate with like Kenyan designers. I think we've not taken up the space of like proper collaborations with, of course, models and designers and as well as photographers. So it's very hard to hack it. And for me, I was also very lucky to get a nice designer. I went to his shop in town to like make one dress, and he was asking, what are you going to do with this dress? And I was like, I'm going to represent Kenya in Japan. And he was like, okay. He gave me 5 more. So sometimes it's just a bit of luck, but now the collaboration is a bit laid back. But I think we are going there, because if I was supported by an unknown designer just from nowhere, I'd say at least we are getting there. Yeah.
One of the things that we are having is that issue. Most of the models are not ready for the international pageant. Not ready in terms of when you win and you go international, you need to travel. And when you need to travel out of the country, you must have a passport.
Yeah.
When you're traveling just after the pageant, did you have already your passport, or you had to go through that stress that most of the beauty queens go through?
Personally, I went through that stress in the long run, because it was my first pageant, and you see, we always have that notion like, maybe if I don't win, it's fine if I don't get the passport. But even as time went by in the beauty pageant space, alongside Miss World, Miss Earth, or Miss International, a passport now is a necessity to have it.
Yeah.
Whether we win or you get to first runners up, it's very important to have it, because it saves a lot of hassle and bustle, especially because, you know, it's a government, it's a need that you have, it's a travel document. So if you miss it, you cannot be able to compete with the country, which is actually a very bad loss, you know.
Yeah. I was lucky enough not to get the problem. I think, I went to get a passport before going to Beauty of Africa International Pageant. But as well, if I had won Miss Earth, which was the competition we were together with, I did not have a passport by then. So I think I would have gone through the stress as well.
Sure.
I think for me, like Susie said, when you get to the international pageant, you're not Susie, you're not Cindy, it's Kenya. I'm thinking most probably in the later future, what we need to do is try and get the government involved. Anybody who gets into the finals of international pageants, we can actually either be given without stress, maybe a week or so, you can get your passport. Immediately you start getting into the international, because any of the 15 or 18 contestants, one of them will win. So I think we need to advocate as the older models who've been there and seen the stress and stuff like that. So key thing, apart from now the stress of clothes, how did you guys manage the travel? There's a lot of expenses apart from clothes. There's makeup, there's probably the only suitcase you have is your handbag from college and stuff like that. Some probably come from well-off families, or probably have gotten sponsors. I don't remember the last time there was a corporate sponsor in pageantry in the last 15 years. So probably we start with Cindy. How was it?
Wow, it was really, really tough. Yeah, tickets to Japan were extremely expensive. And of course, I was trying to reach out with the help of Liki. I was trying to reach out to a lot of corporate people, ministries, but we did not get like very much positive response from them. So it was extremely hard and stressful for me. I think this time I should be preparing for the pageant, but I'm thinking about how to get money. So I was able to raise it from friends and families. I had a WhatsApp group where, of course, I put down all my expenses, and my friends and my families chipped in, and at least I was able to get to Japan.
So, how was it yours?
As Cindy said, it was tough. Very challenging because I was working on a crazy time frame, and it was, I think, a 2-month period. So that's when my trainer came through for me, and she offered to train me in my catwalk, and at the end she got the Filipino designers and everything taken care of, from my makeup and everything. So what the headache that I had was a little bit of pocket money, of course, because you can't travel on zero bob.
Yeah.
So what we did, we had a send-off fashion show for me. It was here in Karen, and we were, of course, it was under tickets, so we got around maybe 80 people. So the tickets were 1,000, so proceeds go to my pocket money. So it was more like a send-off for me. So we had to think of a way how I could get money. So that's what happened. But of course, there were Kenyan sponsors who came through for me, like Posh Palace for Susan Kaitani. She helped me, she groomed me from my manicure, pedicure, nails, everything. Then I had Sandstorm Kenya. They gave me a luggage bag.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things that we need to actually work on is try to get government involved. And I think the last time I was able to get government involved, we had 20 people going with us for the event. It feels very lonely when you're all alone, or probably with the only director. In 2001, the winner was Daniela Kimaro of Miss World. The dad worked at City Council. So the mayor of Nairobi then, who was equivalent to the governor, Mayor Joa Ketch, gave 10 tickets from the county. Then may his soul rest in peace, Chris Kirubi gave us another 10. So we were 20. I don't even remember. How many were you when you went to London? When you went to Philippines?
There was no one.
No one.
There was no one.
One of my friends came. So I was very lucky.
So imagine if you had another 10, 15 guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was amazing because
it boosts.
It's really good.
that
It
year
boosts your
we
ego.
were 20. It was in South Africa. Then that's the year Africa won Miss World at Bani Daraigo. So we were very happy. We didn't win, but the joy that Africa is winning for the first time. And you guys remember, she's the only African lady in 73 years that has won this lead. I'm proud of part of that. So just apart from that, there's so many problems. Back home, you said you're at ZTech. Did you have to go off school to do this? How did the parents, your classmates, or you just feeling you're out, or you're just too happy, you have the crown, the rest can go to?
So yes, I deferred school for that 1 year that I was actually crowned Miss Earth Kenya, and I remember my mom was very bitter. I remember we had that conversation, especially my dad, but I told them it's just a 1 year period. I need to concentrate on it. There's a lot of duties and huge responsibilities that I need to do, of course, for the country and also for myself. So they told me they have no issue so long as when I come back, I continue. So that's what happened. I deferred for a while, but of course, I had to come back and continue my studies. Yeah.
Cindy, how's it? Parents, friends?
I had already completed my campus and I had just started working. So I, of course, told my employer about that, and she was very, very supportive. May God bless her. She was really, really nice, and she supported me through it. I took 1 month leave, so I was able to be comfortable in Japan.
You talked about Japan. What is this Japan? Because we talked about Nigeria. Probably could tell the viewers what were you doing in Japan.
So for Nigeria, I was going there to compete for Beauty of Africa International Pageant, and very luckily I won. I was the first ever queen of that. So with that, I was awarded as Miss International Kenya. So I went to represent Kenya in Miss International. Miss International is the 3rd biggest pageant in the world, which is Japanese best. So the year I was going, it was the 60th anniversary, or the 60th year. So it's been there for 60 years, and I was the 3rd contestant from Kenya. So also that makes me think how we are a bit laid back on how Kenyan take their candidates to international pageants, yet we have so much potential back here. So I was Miss International Kenya in Japan, which I did 2022. The pageant was purposefully meant to be in 2020, but then with COVID, it postponed for 2 years.
Great. There are 1,000, I think there are like 300 international pageant, would say. But this is the history of pageantry. Number one was Miss World, which is English. Number two, of course, the power hustle. The American felt, oh, these guys have done a thing. So Americans started Miss Universe. So that was the second pageant in 1952. Then Japanese, if you remember the history of the world was, these countries were like the superpowers. So Japanese decides, 10 years later, 1960, they decide, we also need something that will bring the world together in joy. Because one of the reasons why Miss World was started, it was just immediately after the Second World War, and there was a lot that was going on. So they wanted something that would bring happiness. And happiness, when you see beautiful people, then there's joy. So the third pageant was Miss International, which is Japanese, like she said. Then there's a break till about 2000, when now Miss Earth was started by Filipinos. Then now all those other pageants. So, and I think apart from Miss Universe, we've constantly represented Kenya. Like, I think Miss Earth left yesterday.
Yeah, she left yesterday.
She left yesterday for Taiwan?
Vietnam.
Vietnam,
Yeah,
for
Vietnam.
2023.
Yes.
So again, we tell the young people, because most of them just jump into pageant. You must actually do due diligence to know exactly what pageant you're going for and stuff. There are a lot of stories that happen out there, and you find you've gone to a pageant where there's nothing. You find yourself being in a mess. So again, I think we need to advise these young people and not jump into just anything. So some people in the past, when you started pageantry, they used to think, this is for girls who've lost, in school, they don't want to go to school, they're looking for white men, and stuff like that. When I started pageantry in 1999, we could not find models.
Yeah.
We had to go to, those guys who were my age probably, we had to go to Florida to try and get the girls who already have that braveness to do the catwalk. I just want you to let people know, did you go to school? Did he help you with this journey?
Personally, I remember I did a lot of homework, a lot of research, and I remember even I was calling you constantly, Licky, regarding advice, especially in the beauty pageant space, because I was very green in it. And what I would like to say to the young generation, or even for the aspiring beauty queens, always know which kind of beauty pageant you're getting yourself into. With the kind of world we are in, there are so many, as you said, there are 300 beauty pageants all across the world. And it's very good to familiarize yourself with which kind of beauty pageant that you want to. So you see, like now for Miss Earth, it's an environmental-based project. So you see, beauty pageant, I mean. Miss World is all about a humanitarian beauty pageant. So it's very good to familiarize yourself with the beauty pageant that you want. That's number one. Number two, make sure, once you familiarize yourself with it, make sure you have financial output personally. And actually that helps in boosting yourself. If you start with yourself, I always say, even with my aspiring models who come to me, of course, and ask for advice, always invest in yourself. Even if you're a model, even if you're a beauty queen, anyway, invest in yourself in photo shoots, go out there, do a lot of charity projects, identify yourself with a pet project that it's very socially related, especially in the country, and it can also give that keening eye effect to the government. And that's when now the government will familiarize themselves with you, and they can see you're doing this. And that's how they're going to support you. Not just sitting down in the house and thinking you're going to be the next Miss Kenya, and you haven't put in the work. So it actually starts with you, and that's when people will identify you, even with or without the crown. Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Cindy.
Yes.
That process, like, who is Cindy? Did she go to school? Am she just found herself in Kakamega in a pageant?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm a lover of education, and I have definitely go to school. I really, really love education. So my favorite subject in school was mathematics. Until now, I am teaching mathematics. So I was even the best in mathematics in Kenya in 2014 in a mathematics congress. Yeah. So and in campus, I did accountancy, and I am a certified public accountant. I've done my professional exams as well. So I think the stereotype about models or beauty pageant queens being not people who want to study or work or such things is extremely wrong. I think, yeah, Kenyans must view it in a different way and in the right way that it is really. Because beauty pageantry basically is just showcasing your country. It's more like marketing. I think people should start having different ideas about it. And I think if you check the line from old beauty pageants, in fact from now and even years back, even in 2000 and 1995, you'd see that they have very high professional careers and they're very big people in the country. So definitely beauty queens are smart people who are happy to showcase their country out to the world.
Yeah, you guys have heard beauty queens are smart. If you go through the history of Miss World, you find doctors, doctor-to-be, lawyers, and that line is massive. I remember, like I was telling you guys, when I started a pageant in 1999, and we couldn't get anyone. We ended up having a winner who was Esther Modhe. By the time she was getting crowned, by the time she was going to contest in Miss World in 1999, she missed her graduation. She was her first honors. And that started changing the perception that anyone. So anyone who's out there thinks this is somewhere you can just jump in. It needs leadership. Leadership needs intelligence. That's why we ask question and answers. Some people ask, why do you ask question and answers? Question and answers basically is not about how intelligent you are, but how well can you answer the question. Because you become a leader, and when you're a leader, you must be able to answer questions. You find, like most of our politicians now, because of lack of that intellect, sometimes they ask questions and you're like, is this my member of parliament? Is this my staff? So again, pageantry is educating us a lot. And some people say, but some are not really. There's a thin line between pageantry and runway model and stuff. You'll be a millionaire doing the runway in New York, Tokyo, Milan, stuff, without even speaking a word in English, but because that's what they're looking for as a model, or that brand, maybe CK, Louis Vuitton and stuff like that. But you can never be a beauty queen if you cannot speak. It doesn't matter which language you're speaking. If you look at Miss World, there are Asian countries or Arab where they say they can't speak English, so they come with a translator. Yeah, so again, in pageantry, smartness, intelligence is very important. Just to rush because of time, I think what were the challenges? We've talked about beautiful things and Philippines and stuff. Apart from the challenge of getting dresses and stuff, what was some of the things that almost made you get out of pageantry?
Let me categorize it. Locally, of course, I said about trying to get, even as Cindy said, sponsors from the corporate side to the governmental side to any other side anyway. So that was the main issue, trying to get sponsors who can be able to fuel me, propel me to get into the international side. And I remember I used to grace events. Even I remember in 2018 I was made the environmental ambassador, courtesy of the CS Keria Kotobiko, and I had 1 year to be able to talk about the environmental effects and about the climate change amongst other big celebrities like, what's his name, this gospel artist, Daddy Owen. So we were alongside Daddy Owen, big people who are very, they're actually stewards of environmental change. And you see even now with the president, they're making, there's even a national tree planting day, you know. So that means even the thing, even El Nino is part of climate change. There's been heavy rains for the last 1 month plus. So which is actually a necessity in the country and also in the world. So me working with them for like 1 year, after that, of course, it was cut off because, of course, it was a period of time agreement. By that time, it reached now 2019, when now it's a fresh new year. I need to start looking for sponsors, well-wishers to steer me to the international level. So the main issue there was the financial constraints. Let me just say that, because, of course, when you're representing your country, you need so much from your wardrobe to your makeup.
Yeah.
You have to look good every day. That's the aim thing. You have to look good every day, and you have to meet new people every day. When you go to events, you need a gown. You need photo shoots. Photo shoots require money, and also internationally. I remember when you're competing with almost 85 delegates, you want to put yourself on the map as a country. And I remember when I won now Best in National Costume in Africa, that's when now they're paying close attention now in Kenya. It's like, oh, this girl, we can see her, she's coming really well. And you see, even getting to the top 20, it's a lot of hustle and bustle. And that means a lot of support from your country. And even when Vicky, you said, back then you guys steered around 20 people in Kenya, it boosts your support even as a person. If you go there when you're all alone and there's no national flag, the Kenyan flag, to propel you even to do your best, it becomes really demoralizing. So internationally, I had to put my best foot forward to be able to at least come home to something, even if there was a lot of issues and challenges, whatever beauty queens go through. At the end of the day, it's me, it's my personal achievement, and it's also a country achievement. So that's when even people start now looking at you when you come back to the country. So you did this, can we now work on this? Which is a bit, which shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't even be before.
Yeah.
They give you more moral support before, then you can work hard, you can do your best, and now even bring the crown. And you see, Miss Earth is the only crown that we've brought the crown to Kenya in 2002 and 2003, actually, with Winfred Omakwe. So they're very much, there's so much possibility in winning and getting the international crowns in Kenya. It's just about the preparations of these beauty queens. And now I see a green light, to be honest. We're moving in a good space. Yeah.
Great. Cindy, challenges?
Yeah, I think most have been said by Susie, but just, of course, to add on it, like, in the terms of support, I think voting as well, because we have a procedure where they want to see your influence in social media, so you have to vote. So it's very sad, because we are a country of about 47 million people, and most of it are youth. So, and in fact, everyone knows Kenyans on Twitter, in social media. So I think that for that power is what we can push to support models even through voting, and which is very common, which is just a collaboration from people. I think we just need to preach it out there, so that photographers are very happy to work with us, designers are very happy to work with us, the government is very happy to support us. I think with that collaboration, we'll get very highly. Kenya, I think we really do very highly in all pageants. If you see our scorecards, most people have placed. In Miss World, we've had top 5. In Miss International, there's a top second runner up. In Miss Earth, we even had a crown in Kenya, and those are the biggest. Even I remember Scarlett Were also in Miss Universe. She really placed us highly. So we have so much potential that just with a little drive, we're going to shine.
Sometimes when you go to some countries, I went to Korea in 2019, and there's that language barrier. You see, when you go to Middle East, like in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, a lot of Africans are working there, so it's English. When you go to Korea, they're speaking their language. So I'm trying to imagine both of you went to Asia, you went to Japan, you went to Philippines. Most probably your choreographer was Philippine and did not know English, or that you have 100 and something or 80 something. Was there? I was waiting to hear there's a language barrier and stuff like that as a challenge. I don't know. Ama, you guys knew some Filipino. You already work with a Filipino.
Yeah, I worked with a Filipino. She had to teach me Filipino, and she had to tell me what they love. The main staple food is rice. So she had to teach me the diet, the food that they eat. She had to teach me some of the, of course, the Filipino language. Of course, even it's just these basic words like greetings. and what do you say in terms of presentation? Because you know, even as a beauty queen, when you first get into the country, there's a press release with all the delegates all across. So once you go there, you just have to do something. You can't say Karibu or Habari because you're in another foreign country. So what do? You get the country's language, and you actually modify it as part of the presentation, and even as part of your first introduction to the country. So I learned a bit of it. I had to, but more or less in terms of the coronation night, the MC was speaking in English actually. So I didn't have much quite of a challenge whatsoever.
Yeah, like I think that is a very important point you've even mentioned out. My roommate was from Thailand, and I realized now it comes to the preparation bit. She had learned like the entire Japanese, and she communicated every single detail from Japan. And I asked her, like, how did you learn? So even when she won her national pageant, they gave her like a teacher to teach her Japan immediately. And she even went to Japan like 3 months before the pageant, so that she can learn about the culture. She went back to Thailand. So I think a language barrier is there. Of course, pageants are so diverse because they know they have people from different areas in the world. So we also had a lot of people to translate in English. Japan is a country which is very Japanese based. Very few people understand English, but we were so comfortable because they put at least people who know at least all languages. So we're grouped into category. Those who can speak English only, we will have an English speaking choreographer and everyone, and Spanish like that. So it was very helpful. But again, with preparation, it just means we also have a long way to go. I was just like very much admiring my Thailand roommate, and I was like, wow, that is so impressive that you know the whole culture of Japan, the whole language of Japan, and so.
The most beautiful culture is Africa, and we're not just talking about pageantry. There's a lot of discrimination in terms of our color. I've not heard you guys talk about discrimination. It happens even in the local pageant, where when the ladies come, they group themselves. Because I'm coming from Nairobi, you want to be Nairobians. We shall go watch our name and stuff like that. There was no experience in international where people from Europe feels. I remember in 2018 when Kenya sent an Asian girl. So just wondering how she coped, because say Asia and we're Indies, then we see I'm winning Africa, so she looks totally different. So my question is, you guys didn't experience, probably this is the most beautiful thing that in pageantry there's no discrimination, right? I see discrimination among ourselves. So how was it?
So, for the local pageant, of course, there is. When they say, she's a Nairobi contestant, Ole Suzina Watwake Kina Cindy Watwa Nairobi. But even as time went by, when we were being trained, even with our trainers, with the judges, they told us we have to be a whole family. Because at the end of the day, being in a boot camp, one of the importance is to promote the sisterhood. Because you cannot, of course, in a few years' time, I'm going to meet you, Cindy, and we're going to see what project can we do, since we are beauty queens and we are title holders. So it's all about embracing sisterhood locally and internationally. Myself, I didn't have any challenges. I remember my roommate was Tonga, Miss Tonga, and I remember she gave me lots of souvenirs, from gowns to makeup sets and everything. So I think even in terms of the beauty pageants, we are going in a very good direction internationally, because there's that sense of sisterhood. There's that sense of sisterhood. Trust me, I competed in 2019. I still keep in touch with almost all the beauty queens, all the 85 contestants, and seeing what we can do for the projects. I remember once I came back from Philippines, I remember I brought in Miss at Uganda and Miss at Sierra Leone. I remember, and even I was having that discussion with Licky. I told them, let's come, we see what Kenya is all about. I can take you to all the touristic attraction sites, and we see what we can do. So it's all about embracing both sisterhood, locally and internationally. So I didn't have quite major challenges.
I think I'm not sure because particularly I think I'm kind of a very positive person that I look everything in the positive side. So it's extremely rare for me to realize something like racism. And I think that is one attribute that I give myself a plus. Sometimes someone could think it's maybe I'm a bit ignorant or what, but I prefer to see the positiveness out of everything. So in Kenya, I don't say in my pageant either of it have felt any bit of that. I think, yeah, I'm a very happy person. If you meet me every time, I'm laughing 24/7. So it's extremely rare for me to notice. And in Japan, yeah, I was paired up with a Thailand roommate who was the best roommate that I could ever choose. She was very like accommodative and we understood each other. So I just felt very much included in everything. As much as Japanese culture is a bit different, most of them have not been to Africa or not known Africans or not even seen an Africa. So of course there's a bit of, I wouldn't say more of racism, but a bit of just not knowing, not being aware of how the whole world is diverse. So I took it as that and never saw any racism throughout my journey. Yeah.
Oh, great. I think if Eric Molly was listening to you guys, Eric Molly is the founder of Miss World, the first pageant. I think it's rolling down where it is, because the reason why it started Miss World, which was 1951, 6 years after World War II, was to bring the world together in happiness, because the war evil was dying and stuff like that. Some of you might not know, some Kenyans went to India for the World War. So I'm happy that at least that racism is not so bad in pageantry like it is in football. So if you were to advise this young person who wants to get into pageantry, what would you tell them in terms of what pageantry is all about?
First and foremost, as I said, familiarize yourself with the pageant, and I just say, just go for it. Modeling and let's say pageantry wasn't part of my dreams whatsoever, but once I saw that audition poster, there's just something in me just told me, just go for it, and you never know. Because I remember the same year I auditioned for both Miss World and both Miss Earth. But Miss Earth, I remember I got a telephone call in the evening and like, you've been shortlisted. I remember I was just screaming in the house and running like a mad woman. But I told my mom, this is part of my dreams and I want to upscale. And I remember I was just at it. I kept myself grounded from researching what I need to research, going for Q&As in YouTube, seeing the former queens, how they answer the questions, dressing also, how to dress also like a beauty queen, even when you're going for courtesy calls in this governmental or even parastatals, how do you need to present yourself? So it's a lot of homework that you need to do personally for both male and female beauty kings and beauty queens, because you know that's what propels you now into the international stage. And you see, it's more of a learning curve, both personally. It has changed me. This is not the same person I was 5 years ago. If someone could say this is how Susie would be in 7 years' time, I would pinch myself twice. And it has really changed me. And it has one of the essence of also being a beauty queen is you have to be empathetical. You have to have that humble personality, because you're here to serve the community. You're here to be a champion or a steward for the environment or for whatever pet project that you're doing. So there's a lot of talking that you need to do, and also familiarizing yourself with children. Like even now I'm a tutor in these international schools. You need to be very patient with them, and it takes a lot of energy to do that, because at the end of the day, they're the future Miss Kenyans and future Mr. Kenyans. So you don't want to be 10 years ago, you'll be like, I didn't shape this human being to be the best capable of the ability that they need to do. So in terms of what career path they want to take in. So it takes a lot of energy. So give it all your best. It's actually a calling, believe it or not. It's a calling, and you need to be the best version that you need to be, and also the best version that the country needs you to portray out there. So that's what I'll say.
Wow. Cindy, what did you tell that young person, 17, 16 year old? who wants to be Miss International or
Yeah.
Beauty of Africa?
Okay. I think I will start by saying you choose the right mentors. You choose the right people to follow. So of course, just as any industry, there are a lot of people who some might guide you well, some might not guide you well. So that is the first step you have to do. In pageantry, we have pageant gurus who have been in this journey from like 20, 25 years ago. Like, in fact, today he was telling me his age and when he started pageantry at 19, and I was like, well, anyway, choose the right people and they will show you the right way. And then I think secondly, I would say preparation. As any other journey, it is not a walk in the park. Every person, all the 80 or 90 people you're competing with are putting their best foot forward. So you really have to research and really, really prepare on this matter. And thirdly, and I will say just take care of yourself. You cannot take care of this society. You cannot take care of your country if you're not taking care of yourself. Nowadays, mental health is a very, very big issue, and I'm so glad it's being addressed by everyone. And the pageantry space could be quite intimidating because sometimes your dreams, you don't get to reach your dreams. You have hoped for this, you have worked hard for this, and you don't get there. So don't be despaired. There's always a second chance. And in pageantry, I love Dishauna Baba, who was Miss USA and was also top 10 in Miss Universe pageant. So she was saying her story, and she lost a lot of times before even she was Miss USA. And since she was a young girl, there was a lady who told her, I think you're going to be the next Miss USA. If she gave up, because it's very, very sometimes depressing, if she gave up at like a young age, she will not be where she is. So please take care of yourself, and also ask for help when you can, because it's not an easy journey for anyone. So even if you cry out for help when you have problems, it's going to take you really far.
Yeah, I remember her. She tried 5 times.
Yes.
I remember the first time she was giving up and went back to the lady and said, "You promised I'm gonna win."
Yes.
She won after the lady had passed. So
Last year.
it's key that don't give up. Keep doing it. Cindy is very, very reserved with her comments, and by the way, she works for an international organization as a chief accountant running several countries in Africa. So probably because of her interest in pageantry, gave her most what do they call it? Upper hand when she goes for interviews and stuff. She knows exactly how to handle, and sometimes just that small certificate that you have really helps you as a beauty queen, because one, people know you've gone through the catwalk, you've been intimidated in question and answers, so don't take it very simple. And Madame Mia is already now training kids from age 3 up. That means in the next few years we'll have brilliant kids who are ready to take Kenya to that level. One of the things that really interested me, and I keep telling the models, you cannot want to be a model and look like a footballer. You cannot want to be a model and look like a farmer. You know a farmer by his djembe and his gumboots. We want to see a model. You see a model, see the stilettos, you see them, the men's looking nice in fitting dresses, costumes and stuff like that. But sometimes you go for an audition and you're looking like, what? Are we in a different career? So when you're out there and you decide you want to be a queen or a king, be able to be that model. Susie just said she did a lot of research in YouTube. When we were modeling, when we were younger, there was no YouTube. So we learned it from choreographers. Whether they're telling us the truth or not, there was something we're learning from. So if you want to be a model, if you want to be a beauty queen, go back before you get into it and see what a model is, what a beauty queen is. So again, I would like to thank you so much, Susie, for coming and just sharing your journey. We'll call you back sometime, maybe in episode 10, 11, and just enlighten. Cindy, I can thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for gracing the first session style. We're going to be bringing a lot of guests next week. Same time, we're going to have Nivea Deborah, who was Miss environment many years ago. She's a trainer. She's such a brilliant and with a lot of healthy, wealthy information on pageantry.
Yeah.
And I'm just confirming maybe Odada Okelo was Mr. Kenya and also chief trainer at Miss World. So don't miss, be here 7 o'clock next week Wednesday for another session. If there are questions, kindly post them on our social and we're able to answer next week.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Wow. That was nice.